Hi there, I'm Ayelet. We're back in the kitchen and we're going to be making some paleo and gluten-free muffins today. And these are going to be chocolate chip banana muffins. And the chocolate chips are actually keto friendly, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But let's talk about the mix. This is simply paleo muffin and cupcake baking mix. I produce this myself. And it's entirely paleo and gluten-free. But what's great is a lot of people also have some nut sensitivities, even though nuts can be really healthy for you. So this is actually free of any nuts. So it's great all-purpose mix to make muffins and cupcakes and cakes. And on my website on simplypaleo.com there's some awesome videos and recipes on how to use this for all kinds of things like chocolate birthday cakes and things like that. But today we're going to do chocolate chip banana muffins. So what we're going to do is we're going to start off by just opening up the bag and putting it into a large bowl. And you can, if you have a KitchenAid mixer or some type of electric mixer at home, you can use that, but it's not essential. You can literally just do this in a bowl with a spoon. You just need a bowl that's big enough. Alright, so what we're going to do is just mix it up a little, make sure that all the ingredients are mixed together. And then what we're going to do is in a separate bowl, we're going to add all of our liquid ingredients. So here we have 2 eggs, and if you're not doing eggs, then there is some recommendations on the recipe on the back of the bag for how to make these vegan, where you can use a chia seed substitute. So we're going to get the 2 eggs in there. Excuse me, I'm going to throw those out.
Why do you put the liquid in a different bowl?
Oh, because I want to mix the liquid first.
Okay.
So I want to make sure the liquid is in sort of one solid incorporated mixture. Otherwise, if I put it in separately, it's going to sort of have an inconsistent mixture.
Okay.
So then what we're going to do, and this is so important for those of us that are trying to stick to keto, you know, there's definitely some carbohydrates in this because we're putting some maple syrup in it, and there's some cassava flour from yucca, which can have some carbohydrates to it, but we still want to get our fats. No matter what, fat is really, really essential. So I love to use olive oil when I'm baking. So I'm going to, now, the more robust sort of specialty olive oils like Bella Gusta or Al the Corner, I don't bake with. But this is, you know, 365 from Whole Foods or Trader Joe's. Just make sure it's a reputable company. So we're going to do a half a cup of olive oil. And what's nice about these measurements is they're all sort of a half a cup, half a cup, half a cup. So it makes it easier as far as cleaning. So we got our half a cup of olive oil. And then we're going to put in a half a cup of milk, and you want to use any type of milk substitute that works well for you. I like to use hemp milk, which is made out of hemp seeds, because we have some nut sensitivities and coconut sensitivities in our family, but nut milks and coconut milk is a great source of fat also, so you just have to go with what works for you. Just make sure that it's an unsweetened milk. So we're doing a half a cup, and I like hemp milk because it's a thicker milk, sort of like a nut milk, so it's not too watery. And then we're going to do a half a cup of maple syrup. These are not overtly sweet muffins. A half a cup goes a long way for a dozen muffins. But you can certainly cut down the sweetener. If you do less maple syrup, you can just put in a little bit more milk to make sure you're getting the right liquid amount. Or you can also use honey. Stevia for baking is a little challenging because it gives it a really bitter taste. So I don't typically recommend that. But you can also use fruit, which we're going to be adding a little bit of fruit in. So we're going to put about a teaspoon and a half of vanilla extract. I like to find a vanilla extract that doesn't have added sugar to it. So you can certainly look for those. You just have to read the ingredients.
What about something like cinnamon instead of the maple syrup?
Well, cinnamon isn't necessarily going to give it a lot of sweetness, but a lot of times I add cinnamon for flavor. But you can even just leave it out and just add a little extra milk and just use fruit. Okay. And that's fine too. But you know, the big thing is for people that are trying to do a strict keto diet, you know, for most people they're doing that 80-20 rule anyway, where they're trying to stick to a diet.
This is more of a cheat, maybe.
Yeah. Exactly. It's a cheat, but it's still anti-inflammatory.
Absolutely.
Which
yeah,
is
you're getting the good fats.
You got it.
Quality ingredients.
You got it. And you know, if there's a birthday coming around the corner and you need something, this is going to make a really good substitute. So we're just going to whisk it up, and you notice I put in a mashed small banana, or you can use some other type of mashed fruit, and you can use applesauce. A lot of times I'll use, I steal it from my kids' snack stash. This is about 1/3 of a cup of applesauce, so these are great to put in instead, but it just gives it a little bit of added moisture. Because a lot of times gluten-free baked goods are very dense. These are not dense at all, they're super moist. Okay, so now once we have all of these things in here, and the liquid mixture is mostly mixed up, we're going to pour it into the dry. And if you're using an electric mixture, it's the same process. And then we're just going to mix it up with our spatula until there's no lumps, which is key. And then when we're done with that, we're going to put in whatever flavor profile. So in this case, we're going to use chocolate chips, but you can use blueberries. You can do, add in some chopped walnuts to give it a little bit of extra good oils and protein and fiber. You can do lemon poppy seed, where you add in some fresh lemon juice and lemon zest and add in some poppy seeds. There's lots of different options. So it's nice and mixed up, you can see here, and the little bit of chunk that's still in there is just from the flaxseed that's in the mix. Alright, and so now what we're going to do, so this company is called Lily's, and their chocolate chips, they're delicious, they're dairy free, which I like, because some people have sensitivity to dairy and casein, but they're using more sugar alcohols like erythritol and some stevia extract to sweeten them, so they're going to be very low carbohydrate. So, of course, chocolate is so good for you. It's definitely my bliss, I guess you could say. All right, so we're just going to mix those up, fold them in, and then what I like to do is use an ice cream scooper to scoop them in so we get equal proportions. So here's my ice cream scooper. So
That's a great idea. I would never
that's a
think
good
of that.
idea.
It's so much easier,
Yep.
so much easier. And you'll notice I put in baking cups. You can definitely grease these, and some of these are already so smooth that you don't even really have to grease them. But I like this because it's easier to send it as snacks for the kids for lunch and just in general. These are unbleached baking cups, so they're like parchment paper. They come off so easily. All right, so we're going to use our ice cream scooper. Let's see here. Scrape all that off. And make sure you get some chocolate chips in each one. And what I do is I put one scoop in each, and then if I have extra batter, I go through and equally proportion it. But this just keeps it a little neater. This is fun for kids to do if they're helping in the kitchen. And you can also get smaller scoopers. It's a little less messy for them, for their little hands. And then this is going to go into an oven that's been preheated at 350 degrees. And you're going to bake it for anywhere from 24 minutes to 28. It really depends on the oven, whether you have convection or not is a factor. So you just have to test it out, but better, always less is more, because you can always put it into the oven for longer. But what you want to see is that the muffins are lightly golden brown on top, and you do what's called a toothpick test. You can take a toothpick or a sharp sort of thin needle type of instrument and put it into the center of the muffin. You can see I'm not doing a perfect job here. So that's okay.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with
No,
that.
just don't waste any chocolate chips. But at any rate, when you put the toothpick in or whatever sort of instrument you're using, it should come out clean without any sort of liquid stuck to it or any kind of batter on it. And then you know that it's ready. And then my recommendation is to let it cool in the baking tin for a little while, and then on a cooling rack to get the underside cooled a little bit, because otherwise it'll be hard to get the baking cups off, and it'll just sort of fall apart a little bit. And they are delicious for at least a few days. Alright, so this is all ready to go into the oven, and we'll come back in a few moments and show you what they look like out of the oven and how they taste. Hi there! So now we're going to be trying out the muffins that came out of the oven. So this is using the Simply Paleo baking mix. So it's really easy because all the dry ingredients are in there, and then you just have to add the liquid ingredients that are listed on the back of the bag. And then we folded in some keto-friendly chocolate chips by a company called Lily's. But again, these are really special occasion muffins. So these are banana chocolate chip flavored. And we put them in at 350 degrees for about 24 minutes, but it just depends on your oven temperature and how hot it gets and how accurate it is. So 24 is sort of the minimum, and then you can see if it needs to go in longer. Then we let them cool for a while in the tin, and then on a cooling rack you can let them cool further. But now we're going to peel this off. You see how easily the paper peels off? And we'll get a nice knife here. At home, of course, I'd be much messier and just be biting it down, wolfing it down. But you can see the chocolate and the moist texture in there. And it just smells so good. So,
Let's sample it. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Let's have
oh
my
yes.
daughter come in here
Ava,
and
come.
try
We're
it.
going to cut another one in here. Here, we'll just give you a whole one. Is that all right?
Yeah, that's fine. There you go, baby. Taste it.
Tell me what you think.
You got a mouthful of a chocolate chip too, huh?
Oh, that's good. So this is chocolate chip banana, but imagine just doing it plain with vanilla and then frosting it for cupcakes.
Yep.
Perfect for birthdays. I used the mix to make a chocolate cake for my mother-in-law's birthday recently, and I put chocolate frosting over it, and it was divine. So nice and easy, good for special occasions, and definitely really good ingredients. It's not low carb because it does have some sweetness in it, but good for that 80-20 rule where if you're going to something special and eating something
Yep,
sweet.
absolutely.
So that's dessert, and thanks for joining.
Thanks, everyone.